So hello everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and it is the Demetra K Show where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because there's always room to improve, even though we are very extremely dope and all of that. So, welcome. This is Donovan, the recovering Democrat. He actually was supposed to be late, but actually he is right on time. So anyway, I also like to welcome that of YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, you are participants as well, because we don't really believe in having y'all just watch us talk without being able to have your say. And so we thank y'all for being here. Also like to thank Marcus Guyton for everything he does behind the scenes on Facebook and making the show go further. Looks like Donovan is a little frozen there. Maybe it's me, maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. But anyway, y'all let me know if y'all can see me, if it's me, if it's Donovan, what have you. But anyway, I'm going to keep going. So today we are asking the question, is the confirmation of Ketanji Brown Jackson, I guess, is it like progress for us, right? Is it something that we can be proud of? Can we finally say, hey, Hannah, how you doing? Can we finally say, okay, now we've gotten something, these are tangibles, and now we can maybe think about voting for the Democrats? I don't know, y'all tell me. So yeah, that was Donovan. It was his feed. He'll be right back. So we are going to examine that of Ketanji. I should say Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. And is it enough for us to say, okay, the Democrats have shown us something, or what? Y'all tell me. So anyway, okay, so it wasn't me, it's Donovan. So Donovan is working through his little internet thing where he refuses to plug his internet in directly to his computer for whatever reason. There he is. I was telling him that you got janky productions going on over there.
Yeah.
You don't want to plug your computer into to the Wi-Fi.
You know what? It is plugged, right? And the Wi-Fi is on both sides. It's like, again, what it is you've got the Demetra K followers trying to shut down this good Black man telling the truth.
Is that what that is?
That's what that is. Oh, by the way, I love your hairstyle there. What is that? The Nefertiti look?
It's the, I don't know. It's just something.
Very nice, very nice. Well, let's get into this and let's get to it. Again, thank you guys for joining the show. I know you guys got a lot of things you can do on Saturday. If my thing does go in and out, when I'm in California, a lot of people are sitting and chilling on a Sunday. It is what it is.
Yes. So the question actually is not jacked it up, so forgive me. Is the confirmation of Ketanji Brown Jackson a win for Black people? So can we consider that a win? Can we say the Biden administration did something for us as Black people? So now we can think about the midterm elections, keeping them in there, which they're in trouble, by the way, right? So again, you guys may or may not know that we now have the first Black female Supreme Court justice ever to sit on the United States Supreme Court, where they are the highest court of the land, where they, hear monumental cases that have never been heard before. And it should be said that the Supreme Court hears about less than 10% of cases that come to them a year. So it's not like you can have an issue and say, you know what, screw you, I'm taking it to the Supreme Court. Well, you can, but it's up to them if they want to hear that, right? Is it heavy enough for us to try to make a ruling on, like that of Roe v. Wade and, the death penalty and all that kind of stuff, right? And so they really don't hear a lot of cases, but they do set precedences and stuff like that. They may make decisions that have never been made before, like that of Roe v. Wade, dealing with, the abortion issue. And so a lot of other cases can use that as an example to draw from, or a lot of judges rather. So anyway,
before we get into that, though, okay, can I just say this? Ketanji Brown, and you're gonna do
no, bro.
We're gonna work.
Nah. Hold on. I can do y'all one better. And I'm gonna get to you guys' comments just a second. I can do y'all one better. Y'all ready for this?
Ready.
Go.
It's rolling. We've come a long way. We came in to celebrate. Harry Sojourner. We came here to celebrate a black woman on the Supreme Court. A beautiful, intelligent woman.
That reminds me of an episode of In Living Color. Now, are these people aware that this woman ruled against 5,000 Black people who were going to get the bag from Lockheed Martin in a discrimination suit? If you look at her record, just like Clarence Thomas, she rules against Black people on a constant basis in her judicial decisions. How many of you guys actually know that? Because I know I'm looking at some people in the comments, and again, thank you guys for commenting. This is what it's about, having a discussion. But are you people that are saying that this is a win are aware that when it comes to Black issues that have come in front of her court, she has ruled against it over 87% of the time? How many of you guys are aware of that?
Absolutely. So we're going to answer the question, is it a win for Black people? Can we finally shut up and just go vote blue no matter who? Because they, stood by us, like they said, because we stood by them. When I say we, I mean Black people. So anyway, that was that of the esteemed Jennifer Lewis, who is, I guess, a triple threat. And she was paying homage to that of Ketanji Brown Jackson being nominated or confirmed to the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court as a justice. And so everybody's celebrating. People are, grabbing their chucks and pearls and, doing a whole lot of things in celebration. I should say this. Yes, it's moving to some degree that there is a Black woman on the Supreme Court, but I think we should not be confused in trying to call this something tangible, because it is not. It is not necessarily what we asked for. I know that's what they gave us. It's great, but we also got a Black man that's sitting on a Supreme Court as well. And how's that turned out for us as Black people? I think Donovan is frozen again. So anyway, how's that turned out for us as Black people? Well, y'all know the story to that. And so, specifically Black people in America has been asking for a check, right? But we've heard, well, my ancestors weren't responsible for that, and I'll be damned if I do this, and I'm just not going to do something just for Black people. So we've heard it all, right? But we've also seen, since the presidency of Joe Biden, we've seen his administration give money to a whole bunch of people. In fact, they're getting ready to usher over a whole bunch of Ukrainian people who, are having their governments and their countries destabilized by the war against Russia, if you will. And so the Biden administration wants to bring over about 100,000 Ukrainian people, give them resources and all of that. We've seen that done with the Afghans. They've come over here to the tune of, I think it was like 115,000 or more. And they've been set up nicely and all those things. And so we've seen plenty of other people. We've seen the Indians. We've seen and heard about those in the DACA situation, specifically those that were housed in cages and things like that. We've heard that the Biden administration wants to give them money to the tune of millions for the horror that they've endured. In fact, there's a city, Palm Springs in California. They want to give their LGBTQ, or actually I should say their trans and non-binary community a UBI, which is a universal basic income, due to the things that they endure as being in that community. So we're hearing about all of these UBIs and reparations and everything else for other people, but nothing for Black people. They keep giving us these little things like, a Supreme Court justice. Then we're getting, holidays of Juneteenth and the Crown Act, which We still are seeing and hearing about people being discriminated against due to their hair choices. And so we're getting these little bitty things, but nothing really to help Black people move the ball, like a check, like legislation that really matters, like, legalizing weed, or if you're not going to do that, free the brothers and sisters that have been in prison for 10 plus years for, weed and all that stuff. We want qualified immunity to be done away with, because we don't believe that police officers should be able to murder Black people in cold blood and then go home and eat a nice dinner with their wife and kids after they do it. So we're asking for things that's really going to help Black people move the ball, not this little bitty, we gave y'all a Black woman, the first Black woman to sit on the Supreme Court. We know that that's only going to matter if something that deals with Black people go before her, right? Again, we have somebody sitting on there who's already Black, and he is not ruled in favor of Black people yet. So when I see somebody like Jennifer Lewis or anybody else running around, woo, we got to win, and all this is something to celebrate, is it really something to celebrate when that's not what we asked for? We as Black people in America didn't ask for a Supreme Court justice because she is sitting pretty, and some of y'all gonna be mad, with her white husband who is a doctor, and she comes from money. Her parents are, lawyers and principals and all that other stuff. Regardless of what she says, I am, where did I do with my notes? She says, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. See, all that sounds really nice. They know how to, write things and say things to make us feel good and say, oh yes, she's a descendant of slave, which I don't know if she is or not. There's some argument going on, but they know exactly what to say to tug on our heartstrings. She says that I am one generation removed from the civil rights movement to getting here. And so she brought up all of these things about slaves and civil rights movement and all of that. And a lot of people cheered and yay. But what does that do for the rest of us? We cannot continue to be fooled into thinking this is progress for Black people. And you know why it pisses me off? Because you see people like your Jennifer Lewis's, who has her little check, and all these other people who are mad at you and me and everybody else who said, nah, we're not falling for that as a win for Black people. They're mad at us, asking why aren't they ever happy? Oh, they always complaining. It's like, so we should just sit down and take that we are getting nothing in return. That benefits Ketanji and her family. That doesn't really benefit us. And as Donovan said, we see how she rules, especially when it comes to Black people. So what else do we need to see from her, right? So again, we as Black people, especially Black people in the media, and even if you're not in the media, whatever, we need to continue to stay on their necks and remind Black people that you don't take your ass to the polls listening to the Democrats tell you, well, we gave you Ketanji, we gave you Juneteenth, we gave you the Crown Act and all that other stuff that does not benefit us. Don't allow them to do that to us. Donovan, what say you before I get to these comments?
Hey, we're getting behind in the comments, but I just want to say ditto. It's amazing to me that people that are big upping this nomination, whatever, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody, but it's the same people who don't do their research. You got Kamala Harris up there, and and then after the fact, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know she wasn't for Black people. I didn't know she locked up all these people. It's the same thing with these nominees. All we're saying is when a Black nominee is nominated by either party, show us your paperwork. Then when we see the paperwork, let us vet it. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to find out, it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or Republican. They work for the same thing, the uplifting of white supremacy, correct? So if they're approving a certain person, just think about it. She got through the Senate fairly pretty easy. There was a lot of Republicans that were against her, but there was enough to pass it because they know they needed a win. And this woman rules in the apprentice of white supremacy. So they had no problem with her getting her through. So let's just check the paperwork. And again, I challenge everybody in there that says that this is a win for Ketanji Brown to prove it. She is one of 9 judges. Even if she did, for some strange reason, vote on a Black issue, do you really think it's going to pass the Supreme Court with the other 8 judges already sitting there. Nothing's done it so far. So we've got basic symbolism.
Absolutely. So, all right, let me get to y'all comments. And Ms. Moni, how you doing? I saw you were here very early. It says, have a wonderful evening, Demetra and Donovan. Gorgeous Donovan, I should say. Happy early Easter to you, both of you guys. I hope you enjoy, if nothing more than just serving the Lord this week. Happy birthday. And thank you so much for that. My birthday is actually on Wednesday, but I thank you for that. And you also say, happy, wonderful birthday, Demetra. Thank you for opening up your eyes and keeping it real always. I wish you happy birthday through May. Wow, through May, huh? You're not limited to one day as your birthday will be this week. Okay, well, I appreciate that. And you also say, I'm not satisfied with Ketanji Brown. I could care less if I'm glad that we have the image of a Black woman, though it is not going to do anything because younger, because I think she means she's younger and better coming after her. And Godspeed, how you doing? You say no, so it's not a win for us. And Hannah, if you say, hey, y'all, what's happening? LaMarcus, what's going on? He says, D&D, what up? And Abdul, how you doing? He says, the appointment of Ketanji Brown Jackson is not a win for the Afro/Black community at all. And Brother Don, how you doing? He says, hey, Demetra and Donovan. And Hannah, if he says, yes, I can see you. Okay, good. So I am behind. And Yanni, how you doing? You say, Yanni, I should say, says, good evening, and my beautiful people. And the Pioneer, what's going on with you? Says, good evening, King and Queen, back at you. LaMarcus says, is Ketanji a win for Black people? Does fried chicken taste good wet? Ew. Very good analogy. And Godspeed, you says, not happy at all, tired of the all the symbolism. We want tangibles. Yes, indeed. And Hannah, if you say, yes, it's a win. She has zero to do with the Democrats. She achieved what she did on her own. Biden trying to get props for choosing a quality candidate.
Can I just say this to Hanif? And you got great comments, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. We're having a conversation here. The woman couldn't even define what a woman was. The only reason she was a nominee is because Biden promised what? A Black woman. And she couldn't even define what a woman was. Come on.
I think she didn't want to do it because she didn't want to be, politically incorrect, especially nowadays. You can't just say a woman is this, that, and the other because somebody in some other community may get mad.
Then why are these women complaining about these transgenders breaking all their records?
Well, yeah. And Pioneer says, is her confirmation a win for Black people? I would say yes. It's not a loss in my opinion. Okay, so I respect that. But when you say a win, like, can you define what that win is so we'll all be clear? And Godspeed says the Biden administration has done nothing for Black people. So I think he meant the Biden administration has done nothing for Black people. Absolutely nothing. I agree with you. And Abdul, says, I am not inspired to vote for Democratic Party candidates in this coming 2022 midterm elections at all. Trojan horse tricks are not going to work to influence all of Afro and Black population. I totally agree. People are waking up, especially Black people are starting to say, yeah, I think we kind of, we did the last time we're going to, vote for you guys overall like that because you guys just lied, and we know it now. And Godspeed says, I will be doing a protest vote this year and vote Republican, as quite a few Black people are going to do that. Brother John L., how you doing? It says, peace, Queen, Brother Donovan and fam. And the Pioneer says, my question for those who say it's not a win is, would you rather see a white woman or man or an Asian or another Latino on the bench? Well, I mean, I just kind of feel like this. We get too wrapped up into it being Black, right? It's like if you get a Black car and underneath the car, it's really a Pinto. Is that really something you want to drive? Or would you rather that Black car be something of luxury and quality, right? It's actually going to do something for you. So I think when we say, would we rather somebody else be sitting up there? If those people are going to be productive for Black people, great. And it would be even nicer if they were Black and productive for Black people. But we've seen that it hasn't panned out that way, especially with that of Kamala Harris, who says she's Black. I know y'all gonna say she's not. I'm just telling you what she says she is and what they are saying she is. She's supposed to be this Black woman with the Howard and all this other stuff, marching and dancing with the Howard band. But what has she done for Black people? What has her being the vice president of the United States done for Black people other than saying, she's the first Black Asian vice president in America ever? I mean, what has it done? Monet, how you doing? And Anais, how you doing? And Facts Not Feelings, what's going on? And you say, laugh out loud, peace and love, fam. And let's see here. And Hannah says, now, if we can get a black justice with a black spouse. Now, see, there you go. As you said, and as I said earlier, she is married to that of a white man, and Kamala Harris, too. So it's like, it almost makes you wonder, is this like a pattern? Even Justice Clarence Thomas is married to a white woman who was actually very instrumental in the insurrection on January 6th. But nobody really wants to talk about that. LaMarcus says, yeah, Lockheed Martin, not Boeing. Yes, it was Lockheed Martin that she denied them discovery even to even go forth with the lawsuit. I think it was like $22.5 million they were asking for in discrimination, among other things.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Lockheed Martin was willing to settle it, and she kiboshed that. She didn't even want that to go through. She was like, nope, we're not going to let you settle this. And, she squashed the whole thing, even though Lockheed Martin said, yeah, we discriminated. They were in agreement. Yeah, we made some mistakes, whatever. And she squashed it. And 5,000 black employees did not get the bag.
Yeah. So you have to ask yourself, why would you do that? Right. And Godspeed says, yes, I know. And Jonelle says, it's a win for blacks under the illusion of inclusion, pacified by various illusions, comforts like being the first black to do something for white sovereignty, but a loss for those in the reality of the visions and aspirations for black sovereignty. Absolutely. It's a good question. Who is it actually a win for? Is it for us, or is it for the same old status quo of white supremacy, right? And the Pioneer says, thanks for giving me that information, Brother Donovan. I'm not very familiar with her past rulings. All right. And Godspeed says, this is not a win at all. And let me see, Tamayan, forgive me if I said your name wrong. How about I just call you Tam, not to mess up your name? And how you doing, by the way? Says, absolutely not. Anyone put in place by this administration has no good intentions for black people. It's a good point. And Abdul said, Joe Biden and his Democratic Party are going to deploy their old Trojan horse tricks. Number one, Barack and Michelle Obama. Number two, Kamala Harris. And now number three, Ketanji Brown Jackson against the Afro-Black population. And I cannot do anything but agree with you on that one. Hello, Mr. Thunder. How you doing? I see Agnes and Gertrude let you loose today to come on and participate. And Diane says, Jim Crow Joe was looking over, I think he meant us or her. Your comment cut off, so forgive me. And Godspeed says, and we did not pick her. Very good point. And Thoughts of the Week podcast, how you doing? He says, question, how many people are currently on the Supreme Court, and who is, Ketanji actually replacing on the Supreme Court now?
There are 9 people on the Supreme Court, and she's replacing Justice Breyer, I believe.
Stephen Breyer,
exactly.
Yeah, Stephen Breyer. He's going to be retiring this summer, and that's when she will go ahead and take the bench. And she is, I think, the second youngest to do it, next to Amy Coney Barrett. So,
well, here's the funny thing. And also, this will be the first time 4 women are actually sitting on the seat. And here's the funny thing about it. You're going to find out that these 4 women are more conservative than the other 5 dudes. And you're going to see that in their future rulings as it comes down the pipe. So you guys just be cognizant of that.
And Abdul says, there's nothing tangible about any weak symbolism. Absolutely. And Mr. Art, how you doing? He says, topic has changed. Has it changed? And I know I'm a little bit behind. That's why I'm going to catch up. And Jonelle says, whites only give black people certain positions of allowances to do for their white sovereignty to keep the masses of slave-minded, docile, and dormant in their white sovereignty. Thus why it's an American dream. Very good point. The Pioneer says, let's keep it real. A lot of people who are against her being on the court are Republicans. It's their job to oppose her and badmouth her. They'd be against her no matter what she does.
Well, if you really looked at some of the hearings, Pioneer, you will see, like I said, the simple question of define a woman. She didn't want to do that, because why they picked at her at this moment is the same reason why women right now are mad at the transgender guys breaking these girls' records, and now people are in an uproar. These were the same issues that the Republicans were saying was going to be a problem when the liberals were allowing all of this stuff to go on. So yeah, I see what you're saying, but you got to also look at what the past rulings have done to where now people are saying it's unfair when they tried to stop that from the very beginning. If you can't define what a basic woman is, the only reason she got that position is because, number one, she's a woman, and number two, she was black. That's the only reason. If it wasn't for that, Joe Biden would have nominated a dude.
Well, and then Pioneer, I'm going to concede your point a little bit. Yes, so you're right. The Republicans would have been against her no matter what, because she is a black woman, period. They would have been against her, but I mean, the whole argument of, because they tried to say, oh, well, Joe Biden is, it might be illegal that he said, that he was picking a woman and a black woman, like trying to say some discrimination type thing. But there was like, yo, Trump said that he was picking a woman, and he did. And she's now sitting on the United States Supreme Court. And that's Amy Cohen, Barron Cohen, whatever her name is. So,
right. But,
anyway.
but also Mitch McConnell said what when he, oh, it's the election year. You shouldn't do this. And you shouldn't put in a point. Let the people decide. And then when it was his turn, put him up there. No problem.
Right. And someone, so I don't know what that is, but that's probably some spam. We're going to watch that one. And Tony, how you doing? Says they're rebuilding the Democratic Party with these refugees soon. They won't need black vote, only the imported vote. You are absolutely right. We really need to, talk about that even more. And Thoughts of the Week podcast, I appreciate your comment. Thank you so much. And hello, Tisha, how you doing? Says, hi, family. And the Pioneer says, we're getting little trinkets and symbolism from the Biden administration, but we didn't even get that from the Trump administration. A black woman or man wasn't even considered for the court.
But he did the First Step program. He rammed through a lot of stuff for black businesses and stuff. Dimitri, go on and kind of say, we're not defending Trump. We're saying you gotta give the man credit when the credit's due. You just have to.
Well, let me just throw this tidbit out, because we can argue about what Trump did and did not do all day long. But who did Obama appoint on the Supreme Court? Who did he appoint? So are y'all more mad at Trump for not appointing a black woman? Or are you more mad at Obama, who is black, that did not appoint a black woman? I'll let you answer that, but I'm going to catch up here. Hey, Reggie, how you doing? Says, nothing to celebrate at all. And yes, Donovan, you are in the comments. Says, welcome to the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Damn. Become a member. I like that. And Abdul says, I am focused on voting for the candidate that will commit to producing policies that will provide the tangibles needed and interest specifically for our black community in exchange for our black vote. Yes, indeed. I'm right with you. And Jonelle says, we as black people can show no substantial independence of our own, chasing white allowances and white sovereignty. No other people motion slave-minded in this manner. Thus, why they have their own. Exactly. And teacher says, I'm going to just listen this evening. My opinions are biased on this. My friend worked for her. Okay, that's fair.
But you can still have an opinion.
Yeah, he can have his opinion.
Okay, yeah.
And he said, the Constitution creates a ruling class. Individual rights are for those who want actual freedoms. And he says, hashtag algorithms. Okay. And Demetrius, how you doing? It says, I like that name, by the way. It says, the dream and hope of the slaves yet chose to lay. I knew somebody was going to say it, but yet chose to lay up with the slave master. Go figure. Ain't that something? Like, make it make sense, sis. I mean, something, the one thing is not like the other. You reference the slaves, but then, like you said, you with their great grandson or whoever,
And isn't it funny? She doesn't really talk too much about her interracial marriage or acknowledge it in public. You know what I mean? Like,
I think she does. I mean, be hugging them and kissing them. I think she acknowledges in that way. I mean, it's like, why? We can see it, right? You also say, Donovan, Jennifer Lewis loves to talk about her one night stand with John Voight. And Jonelle says, think free or I think dead. Yes, indeed. And Andre, how you doing? Say agreed. Abdul says, the appointment of Ketanji Brown Jackson as the United States Supreme Court judge has absolutely no value to our Afro/Black community. Yep. Samantha, how you doing? Says her appointment will never change the face of racism. There you go. Black Unity, how you doing? Says, I don't think so. And then she's married to that white man too. Nope. Yeah, I mean, she probably thinks like he does by now. They've been married since 1996. So that's a long time. And let's see here. Thoughts of the Week podcast. It says they, quote unquote, gave you Harriet Tubman. Yeah, there you go, on a $20 bill and Maya Angelou on a quarter. Right. Like, what else do you want from them? And someone says, government is here to rule you and not to serve you. There is no political solution. Power corrupts. I mean, I agree with you that you make a good point. And Lamarcus says, we gave you Ketanji. You ain't gave me ish. You can I think you mean give me my check is what you can do, though. I'm with you. And Martin says, so you're talking to Pioneer. And the Pioneer says, my question is, where is our alternative? Better choice than her. And why didn't we promote them as a better nominee?
Well, here's the thing. He had a whole list of Black women that were good choices. out of the, I think it was 9 on the list or something like that, I think 4 of them were married to black men. And 4 of them were on a legislative bench longer than Ketanji Brown. Ketanji Brown has only been on the federal bench for what, 2 years?
Maybe a little longer than
A
that.
little longer than that. But
Yeah.
but these other people had longer experience and stuff like that. But and this is my opinion. You know why she didn't meet the criteria? Those other women, they were married to black men. You have to be married to
another one was married to a white man.
Yeah, but she wasn't, because we're not worried about her. We're talking about the other 4 that were married to black men. They were not even considered, even though they had a longer judicial experience. And if you looked at their record, was way more, how would you say it? Fair. I can't even say liberal, whatever. Fair in their judicial decisions when it came down to human rights and whatever else.
Absolutely. And someone, you say, courts are as corrupt as the police. You better believe it. And Abdul says, Trojan horse trick number 1, Barack and Michelle Obama. Trump, number 2, Kamala. And number 3 was Ketanji Brown Jackson. Yes, indeed. And Brother Jonell says, what has Obama done? What has Kamala Harris done? Given pacification as this judge position represents, keep black people in slumber fighting World War III for white sovereignty. Absolutely. And that's what we're doing. We're mad at each other because this portion of black people won't be happy for her. Not that we're not happy for it. It's like, just stop trying to sell it to us as it's something, right? It's not. It's symbolism. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And the Pioneer says, I find myself saying this more and more as I get older. Too many of our people complain too much without really doing anything to correct the conditions they're complaining about. Well, so I will say, yeah, on some degree, you're right. We should be doing more. But I think when we say that and we put black people, I guess maybe we should be in the driver's seat more, but that almost kind of absolves the government and this nation as of what they have done to us as black people. They owe a debt they need to pay, but they have no problems paying it to everybody else who has not paid what black people in America has paid. And so I get what you're saying, but it's kind of like, it almost sounds like, well, we're going to excuse them and it's all on us. No, even if we do all that we can, it's still going to take us 232 years to catch up to the wealth of white people solely because, well, not solely, but mostly because of reparations not being paid for the stolen labor and everything else that was taken from our ancestors. So, and Demetrius, how you doing? He says, hey, D, Demetria, K, and Donovan, Sadiq. Yes, indeed. And someone says tax, compulsory coercion, extortion equals theft. Okay, got you. And Moni says, I love the symbol on your head. It's beautiful. Tell us what you are going to do for your birthday. Wonderful early birthday. Want to be one of the first to let you know I haven't forgot you. Well, I appreciate you and love you, Moni. It's a peace sign, like peace. I just did something to kind of make my flat top here with my braids look a little bit more on the feminine side, if you will. I don't have any plans for my birthday. None really at all. Just kind of hang out, and be 51. You also say, I don't expect nothing from this woman. Then a standard Clarence Thomas, you can look at what she's married to. Nothing to be happy about, but I see future young black women coming that won't be sellouts. Hopefully, right? And Hannah says, women's definition is weird because of politics. Exactly. And I think that's kind of why she's like, oh my God, I want to make them mad and I don't want to make them mad. So I'm just going to be, I don't know, right? Kubler, how you doing? It says the civil rights era designated the black community to be forever pillaged and deprived for the cost of inclusion. Very good point. And someone says, there are plenty of ridiculous laws that has nothing to do with justice. Good point. And Black Unity says there is no win in this. So what? It's a black face on the Supreme Court. Good point. And Hannah says women have ovaries from birth. That's one thing that makes us women. Marty says, though she may be in office, she's not going to do much for us. We know that, but he still I feel, is going to lose the seat, rightfully so. The numbers in the pandemic is showing it's coming back up in, I think you meant California. So yeah, California. Yeah, it's coming. It sounds like it's coming back everywhere, right? So and Hannah says, I say it's a win because some little black girl thinks she can do it now. I have a daughter in law school. Well, yeah, and congratulations to your daughter in law school. That's not an easy thing to do. But I will say this, because I want to kind of just be careful how I say this to not to come off as disrespectful. We say it's a win for little black girls to think they can do it now. I mean, are Black girls waiting for somebody like a Ketanji or Kamala to do it, to think that she can? What if a Ketanji or Kamala never came along, or a Michelle Obama, whatever it is she's done? What if they never came along? Were Black girls not going to feel like they can do it too? Or should those Black girls who are our daughters, and therefore, and all in between, should we make them feel like they can do it, right? Because I always say, if another woman is more influential over my daughter than me, then I've got a big problem. Like, I would rule the day that my daughter comes and says, oh, well, Michelle Obama made me feel like I could be the first lady, or Ketanji Brown Jackson made me feel like that would make me feel sad, because it's like, well, maybe I didn't do my job in that, making her feel like she can do it. So I kind of take exception when I hear people say that now my daughter, the same thing when Barack Obama got into office. How many times did we hear, oh, now my Black son feels like he can do it too? It's like, well, his daddy, his granddaddy, his uncles, or anybody other Black man in his life didn't make him feel like he can do it too? I mean, so that's why I'm asking us the question when we say those things. And Arrow Spike, how you doing? He says, it's symbolism and nothing more. I expect nothing from her. Absolutely. And Julio, how you doing? He says, it's a win, but it will not erase Biden's treatment of Anita Hill. Yeah, but I've seen actually a lot of Black people say, well, that was what he was in the past. He's changed now. Okay. Marty says, Donovan, how are you handling California? That number with the virus is coming back up in high numbers now. It's hitting 21 states. Please let us know, Donovan, how you feel about that.
Don't care. I really don't care. I have other fish to fry.
Absolutely. And Pioneer says, to me, the fact that the image of a Black woman being such a powerful position is inspiring, motivating for other Black people, especially Black girls, just like Obama being president for our boys. So I know I answered that before I read that. Godspeed says, I don't care if they're Black and he won't do nothing for you. Have other colors who will do more. So that being said, and Black Unity says the only reason she got in office was because all the Black women voted her in.
Well, no, well, see again, when it comes to Supreme Court things, nobody's voted in. You're selected by the president. There's no vote on that.
Well, you're selected, but the Senate has to confirm you, which is what Senate confirmation was about. And Jonelle says, give me free hashtag Amistad. Yes, indeed, an Arrow Spike. You say, yes, there is a pattern. In the Mixed Radio, how you doing? He says, we need to bring the Democrats to a strong defeat. Everybody can get tangibles except for us. Kamami, wow. Stand with Asians and white gays. Absolutely. And Godspeed just says, you have people that are not Black and will do more, so I'm good with either color. So that's what I'm saying. If they're going to actually help Black people, we shouldn't too much get caught up on it. The person has to be Black, because how's that really been working out for us, right? And Demetrius says, talk about symbolism. The scene of Kamala Harris married to a white man, Ketanji married to a white man, and Biden, an old racist white man, hovering over them was symbolic. Yes, indeed. Like Big Daddy Biden, right? Godspeed says, Kamala birth certificate says Caucasian. That is true. And Hannah says, Biden sucks for the record. Harris is a train wreck. Yeah, she got out the gate and it didn't work very well for her. And Mona says she didn't want to define what a woman is, because you have those men who want to identify as a woman who would be offended, and just saying someone that is able to give birth and stand on her own. Yeah, and as J.K. Rowling said, and Dave Chappelle said in his stand-up, gender is a fact. And even saying something like that, people get mad at it. Like, well, gender is a fact. Like, you're born this way, and we're not talking about how you feel, talking about how you're born. So that is a fact.
Right. And then I have a question for you, Demetra. Okay, this woman's going to be put on a position for life. So would I really care how I answer, as long as I'm answering correctly? Hey, Republicans, which is 50% of the Senate, want the definition? Here's the definition of a woman. Blah, 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 boom. Okay, I've got the numbers. Some of them like my answer. I'm in. It doesn't matter what the gays say at that point. I'm sitting on that seat for life.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. And now Arrow Spike says, shalom and blessings, first time here. And thank you and welcome, welcome, welcome. And Kubler says, so Hillary Clinton and the DNC was fined by the FEC for misrepresenting campaign funds spent on opposition research. They lied about the Steele dossier.
And notice there is no press on that whatsoever.
Quiet as a church house mouse. The Pioneer says some of our people don't like any Black folks in office except for themselves. It's that same crab in a barrel mentality that seeks any excuse to tear down their own.
Well, here's the thing, though. I don't think that's true, Pioneer, because if that Black person was specifically doing something for their community and bettering it and making it look better, I think people would love those certain people. But why is it? Name me a Black representative that you know of, even the popular ones, where their district is looking like Orange County, California, pristine Beverly Hills, pristine sidewalks, gold, and just heaven. Name me one.
Yeah, and then again, Pioneer, I mean, why is it tearing down if we're just saying, we see some discrepancies here and we don't like it? Why is that considered tearing down, if you don't mind me asking?
Right, and how many of you guys heard Auntie on the homeless? Go home. Why would you as a representative go to where people who need help and are mostly homeless that are going to be there, and you're going to be dressed to the nines and in your $250,000 Escalade? Not the right message. Not the right message.
Right. And Marnie says, I would never vote Republican ever, but I will always sit it out. He says, anyone has to do what they think. I'm not going to dare vote for a party that has never did nothing. Okay. And Jonah says, we want a full and complete freedom. God, don't vote Black people integrating into white colonizing sovereignty. That's a slave vote. God gives everything in creation its own. Just as sure as God blessed the child, that's God is own. That is one of my favorite sayings, and my father says that often. And Godspeed says Obama has no power or influence over Black people anymore because he did nothing. Yeah, it's just kind of like that guy, right? Except for, certain people who, love him no matter what. And Kubler says, Donovan, I think he meant, if you run for Senate, I'll vote for you. There you go, Donovan.
Wait, your vote and my vote, the only two votes I'll ever get.
I might vote for you. And Black Unity, you said the biggest issue was Joe Biden chose her and you didn't. And it ain't good. Oh, got it. And it ain't good. Yeah, exactly. Well, he said that when he was campaigning, I'll put the first Black female on the Supreme Court. And, he kind of had to do it, even though he's lied about a lot of other stuff. But I guess he felt like, well, that's not gonna really be that much of a big deal, right? Mr. Pirate Brain, how you doing? Says Camera. And in the mixed radio, it says she's an immigrant. Yeah, that's what people are trying to figure out, if she's an immigrant or not. The Pioneer says, I know she's not perfect and far from it. I know she's married to a Caucasian and pushes the LGBT agenda. But the question is, how much damage would she do to the Black community versus someone else?
How much damage has Clarence Thomas done to the Black community by not even making even if he lost the vote, making a dissenting opinion in regards to how the Supreme Court votes when it comes to specific Black legislation? He is the most silent person sitting up there.
I mean, the other question is, I don't know how she will rule, but just like she did with the case of Lockheed Martin, I mean, that did a lot of damage to Black people. That could have changed their lives significantly and generations to come, and she didn't see fit to rule in their favor. So what do you think she may do if she gets up there and something like that comes before her?
Yeah, and you got to remember, it wasn't a ruling. She kiboshed an agreement that Lockheed Martin and these people had came to. She said, no. No. She didn't want the agreement to go through. Yeah.
One who cares, how you doing? He says, good evening, Demetria Donovan and Royal Chat. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and thoughts with us. It's our pleasure. And thank you for sharing your thoughts and knowledge with us as well. And Abdul says the liberal social engineering agenda are going to try to browbeat the Afro-Black population to submit to supporting our own demise. Yep, every time. And what do? We support it. And in the mixed radio says Biden pick an immigrant woman who white folks can control.
Yeah, and back to Abdul's comment, why do you think Simone Sanders is working for MSNBC? Jen Psaki, she has now gone to MSNBC. These are controlled talking points within the media to get to talk these talking points. And as we know, the Trump administration, who gave Boule Martin $250,000, that was the Trump administration. They pay these agents to speak the talking points that they speak.
Well, he actually got that from the census, and the census is not really connected to any political party. I just want to kind of put that out there. And let's see here. And Mr. Pyburn says, "Hey, Demetri and Donovan, back at you." And Jonelle says her position serves the same purpose as allowing Kizzy in the kitchen and allowing Filler to walk without chains to groom more slave-minded, keep Black people docile and aspiring to positions in white sovereignty. You know, you crazy. I just had that image in my head. And the mixed radio says Trump didn't attack like the Democrats are doing. And Trump was like, let's just get money. You know, a lot of people, especially Black people, are like, hell, we got to the money under Trump. And now, you know, who y'all think inflation hurts the most? It hurts us the most. And this, what we're seeing, and, you know, the feds are trying to fix it and, you know, toy with the interest rates and stuff like that, but it's never been proven to work. And so it said that, you know, even the very wealthy people are scaling back, you know, or people with money are scaling back on the things that they buy, because it's like, well, we don't really know what's coming down the pipes and we don't want to be out of resources. Because one thing for sure is when the proletariat, which is the working class, stop spending, they stop spending with the rich. And so that's kind of like a trickle up thing where it's going to eventually affect the rich when the proletariat stops spending, because it's like gas is high, food is high, rent's high, mortgage high, the interest rates are going to go up. So it's like there's a lot to deal with. And so everybody is now, you know, their spending is going to come to a screeching halt, because it's just so. That's what I'm saying is inflation is going to hurt us the most.
And you also got to think about Trump too. And you know, I'm not a Trump supporter, but he was concentrating on those Mexicans by building that wall, and that wall actually helped Black people for the limited jobs at that time that were available.
Absolutely. And the partner says, I didn't know she was an immigrant. What country is she from? But even if she is an immigrant, she's still a Black woman. What's the problem? From what I understand, she's for people or from Nigeria. I don't know if she is. I don't have any intel as to where she is actually from. Sounds like maybe her parents or grandparents may be from Nigeria. I'm not for sure. So I don't want to get the lying. And you say also, what's the problem? I mean, the problem is, you know, what's wrong with people who were born here taking the highest lands, offices in the land? What's the problem with that? So Big Rich, how you doing? He says, hello, everyone. I'm not sure, but was it Lyndon B. Johnson that said any Black leader you have is the ones that's chosen for you? I can't trust anything this government does. Sounds like something he would say. We know that there has been this big effort since that of J. Edgar Hoover to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. So I wouldn't put that past him to say that, well, we need to choose their leaders, because we can't have a Marcus Garvey influencing Black people. Are you crazy? So yeah, I believe.
You know, but we could have a Will Smith or a Jim Brown or you know, all the entertainers. You know, only in the Black community are entertainers and athletes chosen as leaders and spokespeople.
Morning said, what day, Demetri, will you be able to show the videos just to speak on it in general? How we, when disabled, you can't even get help from elected officials that's receiving government funding. Well, I was actually going to speak on today. I wasn't going to show the videos because it's still a lot of videos, Moni, but I'm going to speak on it toward the end. I do have something to say about that, so please do not let me forget. And in the mixed radio says we need our tangibles, absolutely. And Black Unity says there's nothing to be celebrated at all unless she works on changing things for her own people. There you go. And the Pioneer says, I didn't, he said, I think he I did a quick Google on her, and it says she was born in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I believe she's a first generation, just like Kamala, American from her family. That's what I understand.
Mm-hmm. In the mixed radio says, Biden made it legal for men to play women's sports. Yeah, and it's like, anyway.
And now the women are upset. Wow, how's that feminism working out for you guys now?
Absolutely. I know what you meant, Pioneer. Thoughts of the Week podcast. He said if Stephen Breyer decides not to leave, no one can make him leave. And then what will happen to Ketanji at that point? That's a good point, because he's still sitting on the bench until the summer. So, I mean, it could have a pretty funky twist, right? And James, how you doing? It says, peace and love, family. It is it logical to expect something from piss poor politicians if we aren't going to do the bare minimum, such as support Black businesses, scholars, and activists? Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are some things that we need to be doing. But even still, I mean, we should expect something from them, because they deliver for everybody else. And Democrats can't get in office without Black people, but it's funny how they don't do anything specifically for Black people. So, I mean, is it logical? If we're thinking about logic and all the evidence and the history in the past, one would say no. But should we still expect it? Absolutely.
Right. And I agree with you, James Anderson. We should be supporting as a bare minimum. But when you have the biggest grift in the history of the United States that happened to, in particular, the Black community, which is the Black Lives Matter situation, which is still going on to this very day. They just found another $6 million mansion. So shouldn't we look at these activists and say, if we're going to donate to you and support you? This is why people don't do it, because the activists, and not all of them, I'm just saying, the politicians become corrupted and the activists become corrupted because of the money. It's all about the grift. And the sad thing is, and I'm just going to say this, it is so sad when the leaders of the original Black Lives Movement matter enrich themselves and walk off into the sunset. It is so sad.
Absolutely. And speaking of supporting activists, which I think Donovan and I are one, if y'all want to donate to the channel, every little bit helps. We have a Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. If you would love to donate and not become a member, we'd love to have you here, but at least like the video. So anyway, and James, you said the real ones. And Tisha says, longer than that, my friend was with her for 3 years, and now she's a court reporter in the House. Okay,
right,
got it.
Got some connections. That's the fly on the wall.
Yes, indeed. In fact, Not Feeling says Biden wanted a swirler. Yes, indeed. And so if y'all could please like the video, I would love and appreciate you. And as I always say, I might even dance at your wedding. And Kiana, how you doing? He says, finally, I've been waiting on you guys, I think you meant. So, well, hello and welcome. And Abdul says, I am a reparationist. Just cut the check for the Afro/Black Americans, descendant of enslaved Africans who were later identified as the freed men. Absolutely. I'm right with you, okay? And in the Mix Radio says, Black faces in high places don't mean no damn good. Absolutely. Pioneer says, I'm not going to fight and argue with other Black people over her. She's married to a Caucasian man and has a questionable record, so I understand why she's not the best candidate. Well, no, it's all love here, Pioneer. We're just bouncing ideas and stuff that we know off of each other. And Kiani says they have no problem sending billions overseas. Yeah, and bringing hundreds of thousands over.
Where's the study? Where's the study? Let's study if we should spend money going to Ukraine and how are we going to pay for it? Nope, just writing the check. And he's doing it without Congress. Biden is sending money over there without congressional approval. He's using the executive pen.
Yes, indeed. And Sean says, you see, they're bringing Obama back out because Jim Crow Joe Biden is losing a lot of Black voters. Yeah, but a lot of Black people, they're like, nah, Obama, yeah, you did what you did, but we cool on you too, right? And Kiana says, anyone picks Biden is suspect. Anyone Biden picks, rather, is a suspect. Yeah, I agree with you. Brother Todd, how you doing? He says, peace to meet you, Donovan. How is it a win for us win a Supreme Court platform in and of itself? Is not a platform for humans, let alone Black equality. Hell to the no. I'm with you. And Pioneer says, Queen, when I was younger, I got angry and hated when other Black folks said Black folks complained about racism too much. I didn't understand why they said that until I got older and saw more. Is there such thing as complaining about racism too much? If it exists, that's like saying, I'm shanking you in your back and you just keep complaining too much. Just complain a little bit, then you're killing me. Don't kill me. Are you going to say, God damn it, stop stabbing me? You know what I mean? So I kind of find that weird that you're complaining about racism too much. I don't know. You tell me. And Brother Jonell said, it's an example of how colonizers select, groom, and promote those whom they deem are leadership role models to aspire to within their confine. It's the same plantation, just upgraded, cycling in the illusion of progress, idling. Yes.
Yeah. And if you notice, a lot of your handlers, let's go to Sheila Jackson Lee, Maxine Waters, a lot of people that work in their offices get their experience and they get what do you call that? They get trained in those offices in how to be coons when they get out in the public office. And then that's when those people run in their own right and they're backed up by the Democratic Party machine because they've been in the system already. They've already been vetted.
And in the mixed radio says if a young Black woman followed Brown, then that child parents have let her down. Ooh, I'm behind, but I'm going to catch up. And you also say there's a mammy support vibe in this chat. Whoa. S.A. Smith, how you doing? He says, I used to praise these successes. I am sure it is a win for her. Black people being the first, quote unquote, is celebrating us being allowed. Black majorities nation been had Black leaders. We always could do it. Very good point. And Rhoda, how you doing? He says, just because she's on Supreme Court doesn't mean she knows the law. Because if she can't describe what a woman is, then she doesn't know herself. Come on. And NIE says Biden won't change it. Intermix Radio says some of you sisters in this chat need to free your minds. I'm gonna let you tell them. And you also say no win at all. And teacher says I have two daughters. One wants to be a structural engineer, and the other one wants to be a cardiac something to do with the heart surgeon. Because I don't think I've ever heard of that one before. It says they will be because of us, their parents. No one has more influence over our children than their parents. There you go. Moni says, I agree that Biden, I think he meant treatment of Black people are tired of it. Nobody is going to be putting up with it any longer. So basically he can just kick rocks and he knows it. He's very worried now. Yes, indeed. And Kiana says, we don't vote for Supreme Court. Very good point. And we don't. They're confirmed by the Senate. And Jonelle says it's their pick, not ours. Black people don't put her in position. Whites did. So how can we be so excited as Blacks unless we are the living dead, as scripture calls us Lazarus? Come on with it. Pioneer says, first of all, Black folks are in position to give ourselves reparations. There are enough of us in Congress and all in federal departments to organize and present viable bill to be signed, but they won't, and they have not done it.
Exactly. And you're absolutely correct, Pioneer. We have enough mayors, police chiefs, all this stuff that could be changed, and yet nothing is done. Ask yourself, why is that?
Absolutely. And Kiana says, who isn't Black that has helped Black people so far? No one. And Intermix Radio says Biden and Kamami want to give the police more money. Yes, they do. And honestly, only how you doing? It says, yes, we are all getting played because we're worried about skin color, and it's not what our ancestors fought for. They did not fight for Black people to only support people based on their skin color. Very true. He says zero. And Rhoda, you say you put a gecko up there. What's that about? A lizard? Finder says, I'm sorry, folks. I'm tired. I've tried to offer a little pushback in support of her to keep the conversation interesting, but there simply isn't enough good qualities about this woman for me to defend her with. You put a valiant effort up, and we love and appreciate you for that. And again, we're not mad at her or anything like that. It's just like we just stop falling for it as being something, right? It's not a win for Black people. And Intermix Radio says Ketanji will support the police. Yes, because she's come from a police family. She just does. And Arson, how you doing? It says, hey guys, how are you two? Just got in 5 minutes ago about what I caught so far of that judge. We cannot pretend like her husband being white did not weigh in. Just a reminder that to all, that everything is political to an extent, whether we admit it or see it or not. The pattern is real. My question for Donovan is, if she wanted to help out Blacks, what are some of the things she has the power to do in her position?
Zero. She would be more politically or powerful at the lower bench because she can legislate from that bench. But once you get to the Supreme Court, you're dealing with 9 other people who have to legislate together. Whereas if she stayed on the circuit court, she could have done more tangibles there just by her making the order.
Yes, indeed. And Jonelle says the white nation dread the day when the masses of us look, think, vision, and motion beyond them, their system, and see and work for our own reality. Truly, can you imagine give ourselves our energy and life for our reality, not white sovereignty? Absolutely. And says Maxine is mad old. She's up there in age. And Belinda, how you doing? Says Ketanji will support the transgender movement, which is probably why she.
And a lot of white women and college girls that work hard and are genetically females are going to be upset. And you're already seeing a pushback movement going on against the transgender situation.
And Thunder, you say how I feel about it if she, quote unquote, cannot do anything for us specifically, why should we be happy in the case a photo of her will be just as effective and less a chance of doing us harm? Good point. So he says the picture should suffice either way, right? Whether it's good or bad, it's probably safer. And Godspeed says some Black people just don't like hearing the hard truth keep speaking. Yes, indeed. And Andre says Affordable Care Act kept many rural hospitals open. So there's that. Yeah, but was it specifics for Black people? Like
right.
specifically just for Black people?
And if that comes up again, wouldn't it be very interesting how she would rule on that?
Damon, how you doing? He says, get your own house in order. Can't depend on your elected officials. Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. We should do that. And as somebody else said in regards to supporting Black businesses, I mean, right now we give 97% of our money away, which is to the tune of 1.3 trillion, give or take. We give it away, surviving off of 3%. And so if we would just do that as Black people, that would help tremendously. But we still want our money, right? Kiana says, I don't understand why they keep dragging Obama and Michelle out. Don't they realize no one is listening to them anymore? Yeah, they haven't been able to secure a win for really anybody since, leaving office. And
well, here's the reason why they keep doing that, because you still have their core base of the civil rights era people who love symbolism. But what they keep forgetting is this: there are more civil rights people, and I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, it's just a fact. They are dying. So that base is dying and the younger bases is growing. And so they got to, do what they can to make sure that whatever core of that civil rights base is left stays intact.
Kubler says, my 20-year-old stepdaughter feels trans women / drag queens are prettier than biological women because their makeup is better. The symbolism of Kamala and Ketanji means nothing to Black youth. Okay. You also say the symbolism of Kamala and Ketanji was meant for the old civil rights era leaders. Yes, indeed. Those are the ones that's running around like Jennifer Lewis. Honesty says the government works for you. If it's not working, fire them. It really is that simple. Yep, but we won't do it, right? And Thunder says, I'm loving the headpiece and the earrings. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Damon, he says, stay on code. Black first family, no vote in this trash ass system. Absolutely. If you got to sit it out and say, well, let them handle that, the people are going to benefit, then so be it, right? And Teacher says, nothing on her own and fight for Black. How you doing? It says, Queen Demetria and King Donovan, I have complete faith in the foundation of Black Americans. Come November 2022 and 2024, we will change the game. I'm totally with you on that one because I plan to do my part. And Honesty says, I was liking the recovering Democrat, but he sounds like a Trump hater.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I was making money. Demetria will tell you my stocks and stuff. I mean, ever since this administration has come in, it isn't doing what it's supposed to do. It's kind of stagnant and, the economy is kind of going into the tank. But no, I'm a person that basically gives credit where credit's due. Trump did some jacked up things, but somebody calling me a name, kind of like a Will Smith type of thing, has nothing to do with them actually doing something physically to me. Nowhere has the Trump administration legislatively, by law, attacked and went after Black people like this administration is doing on a constant basis.
Absolutely. And Jason, you say Black folks are trained to vote blue no matter who it is. Shaking my head, even if it's a Smurf, right? And Kiana says, I want the housing market to crash. And you know what? I was reading and it says that it looks like house prices are going to plummet due to this inflation. I mean, it just the market, the economy in and of itself is just, it's not going to be good. Just brace for the impact. That's all I can say. And Honesty, you say policy over party. Yes,
real
indeed.
quick, Demetria. And if you guys are really interested in, we're talking about market and economy and stocks and stuff, Wealth Wednesdays with Walter right here with Demetria. Tune into it. Have your notebook ready. Every time that show comes on, I sit and I take my notes. I don't necessarily participate. When I was in the audience last week, Demetria, by the way, great show. Great show.
Absolutely. So he's talking about, again, Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. He is a financial expert and he comes on here. He answers all kind of questions, regardless of what it is in regards to finances. And so if you're interested in changing your life and changing your financial situation, tune in 5:00 p.m. Central Time this Wednesday. Even though it's my birthday, I promised that I would be here and be consistent about it. So we're going to be here for about an hour. So again, check that out. And I'll put up a reminder as well. And Gilvetta, how you doing? Says, good evening, Demetra and Donovan and chat. And Damon says, Wall Street will crash first. It's a possibility. Pioneer says, but the working class won't stop spending. That's the issue. Don't expect poor and working class people to be that disciplined and intelligent as to save their money and send a message to the rich. Well, it's not that it's going to be a discipline. It's going to be that they have to. So Belinda, and if I didn't already, how you doing? It says, Black people vote with emotion, not on policy. You ain't lying. And Honesty says, we don't want no leaders, right? Who's the leader of white people, Hispanics, and Asians? And Brother Dennis, how you doing? He says, hi, Demetra and Donovan. And Jason says, we need to do our own thing. Voting doesn't work for us. And Damon says, Dr. Claude Anderson, absolutely. You know, he's been talking about reparations and all that for years. And so we need to, take heed to what he's been saying. Pioneer says, Queen, you are right, that Afro-Americans should take the highest office in the land. But too often, a lot of our people too dysfunctional or messed up from drugs, while most immigrants aren't. Well, how do we know that? You know what I mean? How do we know that most of them are not? So I don't know. I'm just asking. Pioneer says, let's keep this real. A lot of our people are jealous and resentful of Africans because so many are more successful in the U.S. than we are. But we should ask ourselves, why are they more successful? Are we, and when we say we, talk about Black people in America, are we more jealous of Africans, or do we point some things out? I mean, because I hate this whole division between Black Americans and Africans. I mean, I hate that because, like I said, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I follow that of Marcus Garvey. I think that Black people around the world should unite, like, Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi was trying to get us to do. And so I don't participate in, well, Africans said this, Jamaicans said, I don't get involved in all that because it's so divisive. And so I tend to see a lot of, negativity on both sides regarding each other. It'd be just beautiful if we would stop doing that, I would think. And Kimmy, how you doing? You say, good vibes, happy Sunday. Yes, indeed. And Floyd, what's going on? He says, hey, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought she was in D.C. I could be wrong, but I know that was a big deal here when she got nominated. Yes, so she was born in D.C. D.C., I don't know if her parents are from Nigeria or her grandparents, but yeah, she is born here. And Kimmy says, Demetra, you are stunning. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hater. And Honesty says, but y'all have taught our folks we can't do anything but support people who are the Dixiecrats. Come on with it. Kiana says hello. And Thunder says, how can she, quote unquote, identify as a Black woman when she can't define what one is? They might identify as a 23-year-old white person who is gender fluid and trans, photocentric, non-binary, pedal, humanoid, celestial being. I told my daughter earlier today that I was going to go off into society and identify as a white man. Since we can, I'm a trans white man. That I'm going to say that. See how far I get. And Floyd says, did I read that one already? He says, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you already read that one. Mm-hmm.
So I must have skipped over.
No. It's on there twice.
Oh, okay. Got it. And Facts Not Feelings, you say, if Ketanji is a woman typically value their security over freedom. She will not risk her financial security, her physical security, and the security of your husband for the freedom of Blacks. I agree with you. And Martin says, what other days will you be on? So I will be on Wednesday for sure, live with Walter on Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. Exceptional show. Please do not miss it. And of course, Sunday. Those are the 2 days right now. And Damon says, executive white privilege. That's how it works in the system. Yes, indeed. That's why I said, maybe if I identify as a white man, I might get somewhere a little bit further, right? Easier. And Godspeed says, in the U.S., is trying to bully Africa into getting involved with the Ukraine war because they're staying neutral. And it sounds like Putin may have his eyes on Paris next. So everybody's going to have to get involved because, people, especially white people, they love going to Paris. And they're not going to have that destroyed. So, yeah, Africa's like
Paris and Italy,
Yeah, Africa's like, y'all do y'all, but eventually everybody is going to have to get involved. And Amoni says, this is how I feel in my situation, Demetra, when you expose how these people treat you when you are disabled, yet when they elected, they do nothing to help women or victims of human trafficking. Yeah, they probably the ones that's doing the trafficking.
Well, you got to remember, Moni, crime is big money. They make money when they arrest you. They make money when you're in jail. They make money when you're going through the court system. So that's how the system is set up. And again, I'm not against anybody that wants to use marijuana and stuff like that. But now that the marijuana is, going to be legalized, and by the way, it was passed in the House 2 weeks ago, but it's probably not going to get through the Senate. And Biden did say he would veto it because he comes from a different generation, and he has drug addict kids. So, what do you think is going to be legalized next?
Absolutely.
Red light districts, prostitution. That is going to be legalized next, because if you go to Europe, and if you've been to Europe, red light districts are there, and it's safer for the girls and stuff like that. And in our community, in a lot of communities that you're seeing a lot of girls on OnlyFans, and they're working as sex workers. So what do you think is going to be the next big thing?
Pioneer says, I forgot if I unpacked what I said about complaining too much, but we need to actually do more about racism instead of complaining and marching and crying so much. We need more action, not complaint. Got you. And Andrew Sarian, I hope I said that right. How you doing? He says, speaking of Black Lives Matter, after collecting money off the deaths of Black people and doing right by it, shouldn't that money be considered blood money? That's exactly what it is. And they've profited and living high on the hog. And Brother Jonell says, they call our resistance to their injustice complaining only to make us more compliant to the abuse. Absolutely. And Moni says, Dimitri, he says, you keep forgetting to bring your beautiful lipstick. One day I'll bring it back. Today I just didn't feel like I needed it. And Damon, he says, evil blood money. Yes, indeed. Black Lives Matter, taking all that money. And Black Unity says they're sworn under oath. So it's certain things they will not allow a Black person in position to do for their own people. Exactly. And Tisha says, cardiothoracic surgeon. Thank you. Cardiothoracic surgeon. I think I have heard of that, as a matter of fact. He says surgeon, heart specialist,
Brooke Walker, Dr. Brooke Walker.
Got you. Says subspecialty in the entire chest cavity. Okay, wow. Remember her name, Brooke Walker. I know that's right. So now I know. Black Unity says her husband being white had everything to do with it. And Timo, how you doing? He says, where are the real Black American descendants? We need to form our own party. Yeah, we've been talking about that. When I say we, Black people, for a long time, form our own party, but we won't do it. We think the Democratic Party is our party, right?
Well, let me ask it for Timo. Is it smart to join the oppressor? And I think Malcolm X said this back in the 60s. Is it smart to join the oppressor that is oppressing you and hope that things will be better? Or is it just better just to do your own thing like a lot of the Asians do? You don't see the Asians worried about this or that because they've got money.
Right. And Jonah says, Black people wake up. Every wicked trick game we can and can't fathom is being played on us to keep us in a dead position for our docile economic value. We are a nation within a nation whom economy is open to all to suck from freely. Just think about a Black nation, free economy, which is not being used for our own sovereignty and growth, but everyone else's, while we are pacified by white hollow allowances in their sovereignty. You better preach. And Jeremy has awakened. How you doing? He says, just joining in. Hello from the Black First family, Brother Donovan. Glad to see your mind is at peace, Sister Dimitri K. Absolutely. Thank you and welcome. And Moni says, Donovan, I didn't get a chance to hear what your thoughts was on the virus back in California. Dimitri, I had to step away for a moment. What day will you play the videos I sent? So I need you to send me one good video that I can play, because you sent me quite a bit. But I will talk about it a little bit toward the end here. But if you can just narrow it down, and I would love to do that.
Yeah, and the virus, it is what it is. I mean, we got to live our lives. We just got to live our lives. Those that are going to make it are going to make it, and those that ain't going to make it, you ain't going to make it.
Absolutely. And Brother Jonell says, promote, hold the Black vote. Yep, hold it until we get something forward. That's the way it should be. Pioneer says, I'm foundational Black American. However, I am also Pan-Africanist and support Black communities and their struggles all over the planet, regardless of their nationality or ethnicity. I'm with you. And Chico, man, how you doing? Long time no see. Says, are $5 Indians native?
Yes, $5 Indians were also used to help track down slaves, fugitive slaves.
Yeah, they played a huge role. They actually were offered, to join with that of white people, because they were white people. Slave owners thought that they would join with us, in slavery and create some sort of a majority. And so they got the Indians on board. And they also, as Donovan said, were slave holders and owners. And the Pioneer says, voting works, but you have to do it strategically. I totally agree with you. And let's see here. I hope I said this. Key 5. Did I say that right? If I didn't,
Key 5. Yeah, Key 5.
Key 5, how you doing? It says, just found out you were live. Yes, and you made it. Welcome. And so let's see here. And James, you say, who is the leader of white people? Someone asked. The leader could never be supremacy. Yeah, well, they don't have a leader that I know of, right? Like they're always trying to give us. Pioneer says, I went to school with and worked with Africans enough to know that although they have their problems, most of them come from good families, stress, education, and focus on staying out of trouble. Well, you got to remember, too, they come straight from the motherland. Before we were brought over here, our ancestors were brought over here for slavery. We had the same thing. So Africans, I think if we really connect this ideology, Africans in the motherland, they're connected to the source. But we as Black people have been unconnected from the source, and we were taught to be disjointed, if you will, from every way, shape, and form, especially mentally. So when you try to compare Africans to African Americans or Black people in America, it's just not the same argument because we don't have the same connectivity. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I dated an African girl from Nigeria, and I found out when I would go to the parties and stuff and they would talk about their lineage and stuff, the difference was they can go back to their lineage hundreds of years, traditions and things of that nature. Whereas us, because we're fundamental Black people, what happened to us? We were stripped of all that, stripped of our language, stripped of our identity. So that's why right now in the modern age, we could probably go back 4 or 5 generations, and some of us could maybe go back a little bit farther than that. But outside of that, that's it. We couldn't tell you exactly where we're from in Africa. We couldn't tell you, all these things unless you take DNA, ancestry, and stuff, and even that is still vague,
Right. And Abdul says, do not follow any person or personality. Follow the logic. Pan-Africanism is logical. Yes, it is. And Kubler says, America has constantly shown/told Blacks where they stand on cash reparations. Why aren't we listening? We're listening, but we don't want to accept it. And I don't think we should, right? And Moni says, let's face it, these people are liars. They want you to vote for them and then do nothing in return for you. Let's talk about Chris Rock is suing Will Smith being canceled at the Oscars. The whole Will Smith argument and stuff is giving me a headache. Those are rich folks, and they're going to do what rich folks do, and they're going to be all right at the end of the day, right? So with the fact that the Oscars are canceling Will Smith, I haven't watched the Oscars. I think this is the most buzz the Oscars gotten in years. So, Kubler says, when it comes to reparations, I am open to an alternative compromise. And I think if Blacks for one moment just stop banging on the dinner table, screaming, cut the check, they would be too.
But let me ask you this, Kubler. You are aware that the only way you can pay reparations is a monetary payment, and that was done also by the World Court. There's no other way that you can pay reparations other than a cash payment, because you can't give me something like Demetra is a highly educated woman. If they gave us 30 years free education, that doesn't benefit Demetra at all. She's already educated. So it has to be a cash payment, and that's what the world in general, the UN and all these other groups have come to say. That is the only way you can pay reparations, is it's a cash payment. So what alternatives, were you thinking of?
And the other thing is, why do we have to think about an alternative when nobody else has offered an alternative? Only us in the Black community want to tell us what to do with the money. Or we're going to give you a holiday or a Crown Act or whatever. Not that takes a lot of money to do that, but why do we got to have an alternative? Like I've heard people say, well, let's give them free education. Let's build a business and or grocery stores. Like, nah, let us decide that, because in California they want to give Native Americans $100 million, and they're not telling them what to do with it. They're saying we're going to write this check for them, and they can decide what they want to do with the money. So why do we got to settle for an alternative? I'm just curious. And Easy, how you doing? It says, hello, D. Donovan. Pioneer says, yes, Queen, jealous. Not you or I or Brother Donovan, but a lot of our people are jealous and angry at Africans for not engaging in the same foolish behavior they engage in. Well, that may be true. I don't know. And TM1, how you doing? He says, great show. Well, thank you. And Pioneer says, a lot of our fellow foundational Black Americans are from dysfunctional families and follow a self-destructive lifestyle and don't want to be told or taught different. This is why we can't take all of them with us. Absolutely. And that was also the ideology of Marcus Garvey. Everybody's not going to go, right? And teacher says they sure do. I'll never be out of a job because crime pays. Sad but true. Yep, crime is one of the oldest. Oh hell, it's the oldest thing. One of the oldest things on the planet, right? And Trent, how you doing? He says, Demetri K. Oh, I appreciate that. He says, easy to look at and uplifting to listen to. Beautiful. Donovan, my bro, you are an excellent man with an excellent perspective. The both of you have become my favorites. Well, we love and appreciate you for that. And we'll send you your Cash App after the show. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. And Jeremy says, most Black Americans aren't jealous of Africans for their success. It's mainly because they leave direct connections to ancestors behind and cling to white culture no matter the cause. Now, you make a good point with that. I mean, yeah, it's like we long for it and they're leaving it behind. Because even when Donovan and I went to South Africa, most Africans there were like, we want to come to America. We want to come to LA. We would love it. And we were like, why? We trying to come over here. Y'all trying to go over there. So what, the racism here is not, quality enough for you? Like, what's going on here?
Right. And by the way, Sweet Potato emailed me, Demetri, and asked when you're going to be coming back.
When he's saying for me. Rhoda says, Biden giving out crack pipes when should been building government. I think he meant when he should have been building government housing for the homeless. Yeah, but then of course a lot of Black people like, well, it wasn't crack pipes. It was a crack pipe. Okay. It was in a smoking kit. It was. You can try to glorify it however you want, but it was a crack pipe. And you also say Asians are forming parties to take over America, and they will be successful. Watch
yeah. Like right now, they really don't have the numbers to be really formulative, but they have the money. They just don't have the numbers, but they're getting there.
Oh yeah, they getting there really quick. And Pioneer says, but complaining and coming on CNN crying and slobbering at the mouth ain't resistance. If we were actually resisting racism instead of simply complaining about it, that would be a different story. Now, I do love that comment because I totally agree with you on that. And Kubler says, thanks to the Trump administration, I obtained my CDL license, got my free rent paid, for a year, and approved food stamps until 2023. Biden still owed me $600 for voting in Democratic preacher for the Democratic preacher in Georgia. Yeah, so remember they shorted everybody $600. Said it was going to be $2,000. Then it ended up being $14. And he's like, well, what had happened was the Trump administration is like, yeah, right. So I'm glad everything worked out for you under the Trump administration. And Jeremy says, hey, Donovan, I hear old fans are considering going public.
Okay, so I think they might put some stock out there. All right, I'm gonna have to jump on that.
Partner says $5 Indians were white and almost white people who paid to identify as Indians. They are one of the reasons why so many so-called Native Americans have white skin today instead of naturally brown. You're right about that because I actually know some people who say that they're Indian. It's like, are you sure?
Well, Elizabeth Warren said she was an Indian.
Yeah, and then she had to retract that because she got it wrong, and then that's why Trump and them call her Pocahontas.
Now, did the federal student loan people come after her for all the money that she took under that aspect of her application?
Come on now, don't you ever get it messed up. At the end of the day, she still is a white woman, okay? One of the most protected things in the universe.
Now, the funny thing is, if a Black person or any other person had done what Elizabeth Warren had done, like that girl that sent her child to school for a better district, even though she lied on the application, you would be locked up.
In the clink. And Abdul says, all roads are leading to Africa for me. I am planning to relocate to a country in either West or East Africa before the end of this decade. Unjoma Wa Africa 2030. Absolutely. A lot of people.
Good.
No, a lot of people are talking about that, but yeah, it's like you can talk or you can do, right? So I would love to go.
Yeah. You might find me in Australia, Panama, or the Dominican Republic.
I ain't going where no more white people are. So you cancel out that Australia trip for me. Yahweh, how you doing? It says shalom, sis. And Kimmy says, what do Black Americans want to do about BLM? What BLM did? It says, shouldn't there be retribution for the severe damage that was caused?
Well, here's the thing. Black people do not regulate these issues that is going on. That's why California and a lot of states have shut them down and stopped their investing. And that's the global fund one, the main chapter that's above everything else. Now, it's kind of like these people that took the PPL loans and stuff like that. It's kind of, yeah, all these loans. Now you have these American organization that's supposed to regulate all this stuff, and they didn't do it. And now you really, it's like what they did was basically they didn't put anything in their names. They put everything in BLM names and bought properties and stuff. And they're finessing, and that's all it is. But it's not up to Black people themselves to regulate them. We got to start looking at the people's paperwork and saying, okay, look, if we're giving to you, we want to see the work. Put it like this, Black people, if you ask me, if you're going to donate to a cause or something like that, Demetra does it all the time. I was walking with Demetra one time, and she saw a brother sitting there, in the street with her, and she gave him the money directly. That's the best way you can help people like that.
And I say it all the time. That's the only reason why I keep cash on me is because somebody might ask me for it. Other than that, I don't carry money at all. But if somebody who is in need asks me for it, I give it to them.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my $20. Never mind.
And Morpheus, how you doing? He says, what's disturbing to me is that no matter what Black person is put in that position, we are going to beat them down just to have a conversation about what they don't do.
But Morpheus, show me a Black person that gets into those positions that actually does something.
Yeah, I mean, and is it a beat down or is it, a fair question? Is it our right to ask, when y'all sell? Because this is the thing, Morpheus. They sell it to Black people as this is a win for you. Look what we did for you. And then they get in there. It's like, okay, well, we're still waiting. We're still waiting, like Obama. Most people voted for him for one on the strength he was Black. And it's like, okay, well, then the other logical thing, and I know it was illogical in the long run, but the other logical thing, well, he's a Black man. Surely Black people are going to see some progress, right? Since he held a position that was never held. And we still waiting on that. In fact, we hear and see Obama talking about all the time, well, I would have done more for Black people, but, I didn't want to make white people mad. So.
And there was more Black people killed on a national level that got into the news than Trump or Biden so far.
Yes, indeed. The Pioneer says, I hear exactly what you're saying, sis. And not only does it make sense, but I agree. However, the fact that we're disconnected from our African lineage is no excuse for some of our people to hate on them. I agree with you. I concede that. And Thunder says there is a critical mass of us on code now, and we are making things happen. They can't ignore us any longer. We must stay laser focused and not be distracted or settle for less. No vote, no tangibles. There you go, brother. And agony of defeat. How you doing? He says Ancestry DNA and the rest of them are all money grabs. Yes.
And if you've done Ancestry DNA, you better not do no serious crime where they can track you.
Exactly. And Timo, he says, we need to wake up to what Black politicians are actually culturally Black American descendants of slavery and will push our empowerment agenda and reparations forward. Yep, they got to be talking like that. And Dr. Claude Anderson told us that if they ain't talking like that, then we don't even give them a second look, right? And Black Unity, you say we don't have to settle for an alternative. We just have to keep beating on the table until we get reparations on our own terms. There you go. Pioneer says, what about land? Land is called real estate. I think giving us land as well as money should be a part of any decent and proper reparations package. Absolutely. And we know that that has always been asked, and the Nation of Islam has been asking for that since its inception, not only for money, but land. And a place that we as Black people can conjugate on our own away from white people and white supremacy. So yes, definitely land.
Right. And let me bring this up to Pioneer too. You are aware that half of the state of Oklahoma is Indian territory. Now, the question is, are those corporations and people that are living on that land that aren't native, are they going to move? How do you fix that situation where people are basically trespassing on native Indian land? And that was adjudicated and upheld 2 years ago.
Absolutely. And Jeremy said, that's right. Cut our check, make us tax exempt for 100 years, and we can start from there. I like that too. The Pioneer says a lot of Africans want to come to the United States based on the false and deceptive images of Black success in America they are seeing, just like I wanted to go to California based on the videos I saw. And now you know.
Hey, that Dr. Dre video ain't nothing but a G thing. That got me hyped to come to California too.
And Jonelle says they will give us crack pipes, but no rights while they act. Absolutely. And Rhoda says Warren's nothing, but I think he meant a reptile. And Timo says, here's how it should be paid. Age 20 to 29, $2,000 per month. Age 30 to 39, $3,000 per month. Age 40 to 49, $4,000 per month. Age 50 to 59, $5,000 per month. Age 60 to 69, $6,000 per month. Benefits end at age 70. Well, I know that there's a lot of people like my father who are, over the age of 70, and they've endured the most. The older people in the age, and so I like the other part, but I think that people who are still here, 70 and up, they should get it because they endured the most. Like a lot of times when I listen to my father, and he tells me stories of back in the day, certain things that very extreme racist things that happened to him. I actually think they should get the most money because they were here to see most of the horror that has been exacted upon Black people.
Absolutely. But, Timo, I'm going to have to disagree with you. You have basically, those numbers are way too low. I agree with the breakdown, but the numbers are way too low. I mean, they estimate that to give Black people reparations, you're talking at least as a minimum to start $17 trillion. So if you take $17 trillion based on the numbers that you have, the numbers are low. Your numbers are they're too generous. Your numbers are too generous to the white man.
And Thunder says, when they cut the check, be on the lookout for $5 foundational Black Americans. The Pioneer says, I would like to visit Africa and even buy land in Africa, but the United States is my home. We need to stay here and fight for our birthright. I agree with you, and that's me. The Money says, we don't need any more leaders, but they are going to keep it because it's a big racketeer for it, but their day is being exposed and they're mad for it. I see a change coming, not just for this fall.
Okay. Molly, I agree with you, but see, here's the mind change. And this is what we got to keep telling people. They are not leaders. We're the leaders. They are public servants. Get the difference? There's a difference between a servant and a master. We're the leaders, and we got to start thinking like that. We are the ones in charge. We tell them what we want them to do for us. But somewhere along the line, we got these people up there who work for us, like the police and any other entity, and they think that they're the boss.
Yes, indeed. And Pioneer says, Thunder brought up a very good point. As soon as the talk on reparations gets serious, expect a lot of white folks to start identifying as Blacks and turning transracial. Laugh out loud. You can believe it. Okay, I got a drop. But it's like, yeah, before those checks was rolling, you wouldn't dare claim that drop of Black, right? And Ani, I hope I said that right. How you doing? He says, speaking of cash, are you all prepared for the CBDC that will be here soon? And what is the CBDC?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking. And welcome, by the way. And Jeremy, he says, no, each Black person, son 18 above gets 50 million down and the Hunter Biden Ukraine salary for life. That's what I'm talking about, okay? And Kiana, he says, that's what I've always said. If you can't help someone, do it yourself. Charities use the money to pay themselves. Yep, absolutely. It's a lot of times, a lot of these charities we see is a money grab. Pioneer says, preach, Brother Donovan. You're sending in your DNA to these mysterious organizations and don't know who the hell is getting a hold of it or what they are using it for.
They're using it for cloning experiments, all kinds of stuff.
Right. I mean, if they really wanted to clone you like that, they could follow you at, Chick-fil-A and get your straw that you sucked on out the garbage. And I mean, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, Chico, man, he says Biden has tied reparations to Native Americans. Yes. And we've seen that a lot, especially too, with AOC and people like that. They want, Puerto Ricans to get a piece of the pie as well. It's like, oh, damn.
And when they do that, what happens to your check, Black Americans, when everybody else is included in that? Your check gets lower as they divide the pie, right? This is why we have to stop including ourselves in people of color. We are not people of color. We are Black Americans here. And when we say Black, you're using an adjective to describe something incidental about you. I saw a Black man run from a liquor store. when a white man says he's white, how many variants of white do we have in America? You have Italian, you have Russian, you have Spanish, you have this, that. So when you're talking about an adjective, we got to stop including ourselves and people of color. They do their own thing. We need to do our own thing. When we include everybody else, Black people are the least likely to benefit.
Absolutely. And let's see here. Moni says, stop hating Donovan. I'll let y'all read the rest of that comment. And Jonelle says, we just have to separate, unify, and run this town tonight. Yes. And Kubler says, reparations alternative, a special tax code for Blacks like the Native American sovereignty. He says the allotment of federal land with development grants, tax exemption on Black businesses, for example, and a check. Kimmy says, what about a lump sum? I'll take a lump sum if it's the right amount. Absolutely.
Yeah. The initial lump sum, as most economists and people who have studied this thing, is 17 trillion. That is just the starting minimum amount. 17 million to go to what? How many Blacks are in the United States?
About 54
million. Out of that, they say the fundamental Black people are about what, 12% of that or something like that?
About that.
So, so you take that's another 20 million Black people that'll get that 17 trillion. You cut that up, there it is.
Absolutely. And let's see here. And Jonelle says, there is nothing that's going to stop Black unity. Our unity will give us all we need and change the planet. I love it. Pioneer says, let's keep this thing real, Brother Donovan. We know the same powers that give us land in reparations will have the same power to take it away. However, it's better than not getting it at all.
Well, exactly. Remember when the white man gave the Indians the what's that, that mountain in the Black Hills in the Dakotas? Said, yeah, y'all could have that crappy land. You could have Black Hills. And then they found gold there. The white man came and took it back.
Right. Thunder, you crazy. You say DK was at a Miller. Oh yeah, memories, good times. Virginia Slims. You say stop it. Stay soft fro spray and an ice cold 16-ounce. The OJ's playing in the back porch with an old smoky barbecue pit.
Yep, I really miss.
That's water. That was no damn. There was no beer. It needs to be though, but nah, that's water. That's sparkling water. It did kind of sound like when I said, psh. Not today anyway. Morpheus says that makes sense and thank you. Thank you. And Jeremy says, Timo, trying to have, so you're talking to Timo, so I don't read the replies. And Moni says, I agree with you, Brother Donovan. They make money at your expense. When I see what has happened to me and others, just how they turned the other eye until you expose them, then they want to be quiet. And Deani, you say, central bank digital currency cash will be non-existent in our lifetime. And the Pioneer says, well, the problem is a lot of our people don't want to be called Black anymore. They want to call themselves natives, Hebrews, copper colored, Israelites, Moors, and everything else but Black. Hey, I always say that I'm Black. And Thunder says, oh, Kubler, you were saying Kubler. I thought you were saying cougar. Calm down, killer. Calm down. Marnie says, Demetria, when you decide not to follow no elected officials, watch what the shock is going to great. Wait and see. Tired of all the liars BS also. I'm with you, sister. And Artemis, how you doing? Long time no see. He says, it's not going to all Black people in California. They're talking about ADOS. Pioneer, guess what I did? Guess what I did? Yes. There you go. He says, Queen, you got to the bottom of this chat this fast. What's wrong with this chat? Well, maybe people are just watching. Maybe I'm reading fast. I don't know. You tell me, but I did it. So anyway, we can, hey, Rain, how you doing? We could talk about whatever you want. Oh, and Jeremy says, psych. That's okay. And thank you, Marcus, for being here and sharing the link. If you guys are watching this on Facebook and you want me to read your comment, please do so. I would love to read that. So I want to talk about Sister Moni has been sending me a copious amount of videos and emails regarding her situation where she used to live there in Detroit. I'm assuming you've moved now. I think you told me that you moved. Anyway, I did watch the... Why did you change your background, Donovan?
I haven't got to it yet. I want everybody to see my room.
Sister Moni was telling me about her situation, and that her living situation at the time was very horrible. And for what I could see, it was not a good place to live. I actually saw a video where I guess a neighbor across the way was stabbed and had blood and stuff everywhere, and the paramedics and stuff showed up, and she showed me a video of some nefarious activities going on outside of the window. And, it just wasn't a good place to be in. You also told me that it was a former baseball player, forgive me, I forget his name, who was the owner of that particular apartment building, and he was a slumlord, for lack of better words. You have complained a bunch of times to your city officials, and it went on deaf ears. And so you also brought in the fact that a lot of disabled people live there. Well, I will say this. We need to do a better job at, I will say this, voting on the local election. So your city council people, they have a huge impact on what goes on directly to you, right? So they have a responsibility to make sure slumlords, landlords do what they are supposed to be doing, because at the end of the day, they're taking money from you. They're getting paid rent. And so also, it pays to know the laws in regards to your renters' rights. A lot of people, and I'm not saying this is true for you, Moni. And the funny part is, watch Moni not even be listening. She probably ran off somewhere. But it pays to know your renters' rights. A lot of people, and I hate to say this, especially in our situation of people who don't have a lot of money, so for some reason, we tend not to know our rights, right? So one time when I first moved out to Houston, this is not my first time living in Houston. In fact, I moved to Humble, okay? I moved into an apartment building, and it wasn't the greatest place to live. And one day the hot water went out in my apartment. And so I'm like, oh, hell to the no, right? But it was the weekend, and they weren't getting back to me, this, that, and the other. So I got a chance to go mingle with my neighbors, and the ones in my apartment building, their hot water was out too. And they were like, oh, it happens all the time. And they told us having hot water is not a luxury and it has to wait. I said, wait a minute. Who told you that hot water was not considered a necessity? They said it was a luxury, so it was not really a necessity. I said, who told you that? And she says, well, the apartment manager told us that. So I went and got my phone, and I said, well, I want all of us to be clear that hot water is a necessity, and we pay for hot water. And how dare them tell you that it's not something that's important? So they said, well, we didn't know that. I'm like, of course you didn't know that. That's why they keep doing it to you. I said, if you're going to be a renter, know your rights. Know what people can and cannot do to you. You can withhold rent if the bare minimum is not met. But a lot of us don't know that. We feel like because we might not live in a glamorous environment that we just got to take it, right? Oh, I don't want to rock the boat with the landlord because they might kick us out. They might make things hard. Well, good that they kick you out, but they're going to owe you money. It's illegal to retaliate against your tenants because they're asking you to give them the basic necessities that what their money pays for, right? So we have to know our rights, right? Because I will not be giving my money to people and they're not giving me what I pay for. It's like you wouldn't walk into Taco Bell and pay for a burrito, taco, and some whatever else they got in there and just walk out with a taco, would you? And then you pay for all those things. Would you just walk out with one item? So the same thing should be true for renting an apartment or anything else that you pay for. Get what you paid for and do not leave until you get it. And then if you go to your city council members and they do not give you what you want, guess what? You tell them, we got our eye on you. Next time you come up for election, don't you bring your ass in our neighborhood talking about, well, I'm gonna, and we gonna. What you're gonna do is get your ass up off the dais, because every time we came and asked you for something, you told us, I'll see. We know, especially in our community, what I'll see means. That means I ain't never, ever, ever gonna happen, right? So if your city council person is allowing you to live in squalor, then you get them up out of the seat. But the other thing is this, I'm going to say as us as Black people, I've been to more city council meetings than I care to go to. But I will tell you this, I see us as Black people, we go when something has already happened to us. We are reactive instead of proactive. When you go in those city council meetings, you see white people in there say, oh yeah, we heard you want to put a weed dispensary in our neighborhood. We wish you would. If you do, you're going to be out of here. And guess what they don't do? They don't put that crap in their neighborhoods. They put it in your neighborhoods. You know why? Because they know you ain't going to bring your black ass to the city council meeting. They know you're going to come up in there when they've already dug the hole to start building a Popeye's chicken, a pawn shop, a check in the cash, a Dollar General. They know you're going to be in there then. We'll say, well, we don't want that here. Well, we had planning committee meeting and you didn't show up to that. We had a vote on it at the city council meeting and you didn't show up to that. So we've already kind of went forward with it, but we'll keep it in consideration. So that's partially our fault that we allow those people who have a direct effect on our lives to keep making it. It should not do more than one thing. You think about how white people think when they vote. If you think they would have a mayor or a city council person or anybody sitting in that office if they weren't getting what they wanted, do you think they would sit there more than once? Hell to the no. They'd be out of there. I ain't talking about on the federal level. I'm talking about where they can walk their ass into the city hall and say, I want to speak to my city council. That person would be gone if they continued to thumb their nose at what they want. So we need to think the same thing. Be proactive and not reactive. So I hope that helps.
Yep. And then, we got to stop using the excuse of, oh, I can't do this. We're in a technological age. You can watch the city council, redress it on public access TV. It's on the website. You can download it and see it. And then, let's say you didn't go to the live actual city council meeting, but you saw it the next day or whatever. Nothing's stopping you from sending an email to your council member from the delayed viewing that you saw and let them know how you feel about it. But always chime into your city council member and the clerk. And the reason you do that is you want it on record. And they have to put that in the record of that particular item that you're complaining about or whatever it is. So always chime in the city clerk and whatever council member, mayor, whoever else you got to do.
Absolutely. And Pioneer says you're reading and commenting at the same time, so you're taking your time. Well, I mean, I think we're, it's not my fault that I got to the end. And Thunder, thank you so much for the donation. I love and appreciate you for that. He says, for the sweet tea fund. Maybe I'm going to have some sweet tea on my birthday. Maybe I'm going to just go ahead and just get diabetes all on my 51st birthday. I don't know.
Yeah, we're real quick to give them a real story of how that actually works. When I retired from the military, tell them when I came back and I found out that for 25 years, the property tax that was supposed to go in my neighborhood went to the benefit of other areas in my city. You got areas in my city that got their own lakes, and my area was left behind. And I went, asked for the books, opened the books. I kicked them in the face and said, I want this, this, and this. I threatened to sue. And how much attention did the city council, the mayor, the police department give me once I started doing what I was doing?
A lot. Absolutely. And so, Angela, how you doing? It says Jim Crow Joe couldn't have started giving our reparations. It could have started giving our reparations instead of giving millions, probably billions now to the Ukrainians. Absolutely. But he's like, what y'all gonna do? Y'all ain't gonna get me out of here. Y'all gonna keep voting for me. So I'll just keep, giving you the middle finger and keep doing stuff to everybody else.
It is estimated that Joe Biden so far has given $16 billion in cash or, money plus military assistance. And we don't even know what the parameter of that is. But $16 billion in cash has been done without congressional approval, just by him using his executive order of the pen.
Absolutely. Pioneer says, Sister Moni is sending you videos. Put some on the screen. She sent me quite a bit. So I wanted her to kind of condense it down and show me which one she actually really wanted me to show. So I hope I did it some justice. Maybe one day I'll put it up there, but they're pretty bad. And some of them are kind of graphic too. So yeah. And Kubler says, Demetri K, I appoint you to be America's Julius Malema. You have the juice now. All right, now, I actually have a crush on Mr. Malema. Even though I know he's married, it's an intellectual crush. So anyway, let's see here. But thank you for that. And Jeremy says, Donovan, that's a soda. That's of soda has hair by now. What?
In my room. That soda's been up there for a while in my room.
Mm.
Got a nest in there now.
Gross. Thunder says, damn, I've seen hard times before, but I've never had to make love on a damn box spring. That's hard times. Yeah, that probably hurt your back too, right? Let me be quiet. My dad is probably watching. Don't say that, Demetra. And Morning says, so would it be just the last 3 sets of news clips, the ending part of the dead corpse? See, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's a lot of stuff is really graphic. The dead corpse being taken out, showing how folks that are disabled are forced to live a way elected officials do nothing. Yeah, so that was one that I saw too, was a dead body on one of the videos. So yeah. And Sublime Prince, how you doing? He says, I like your hair. Thank you so much. Or my head or my hair. Thank you. And let's see here. Donovan says, people don't even know the first 4 basic rights of the Constitution, know at least the basic laws. Yeah. Or, if you don't, do a refresher. And Jeremy says, you have moved to Humble near some foreigners, Dimitri. Yeah, that, and they knew I wasn't from Humble because I kept saying humble. They said, you're not from around here, are you? I was like, nah, I'm from Southern California. We can tell. And Rain, you says, Demetra looks like royalty. I appreciate that. I thank y'all so much. Y'all making me feel good. And Donovan says, my city knows that Donovan has to come up to City Hall. There's going to be hell to pay. Absolutely. Martin says, I can't scare anybody from coming to the jungle. It is what it is. You say, but if you don't already have a ball, shame on you. Michigan is a pretty big state. You got different parts. We live in the wildest. Wow. Yeah, I mean, but look at the people who represent you, and it's probably gonna be very telling. And Thunder, you say, cook, DK, cook. Well, I'm trying. Y'all see, I worked up a sweat and everything. And Pioneer says, you're absolutely right, Queen. Too many of our people are reactive instead of proactive. They often react only after something negative has happened in their community. And we need to stop that, right? Like we complain it after it's already done, right? You're not gonna go to the doctor and say, well, I want you to, do this arm. Then they do that arm, right? And then I don't know. It's just like you can't complain about something unless you're very clear on what it is you want done, and then go make it clear before they actually do it, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say, you don't go to the doctor and say, I do an arm. I want you to operate on the arm. So they operate on the left, but you really meant the right. It was like, well, you didn't tell me, so I just kind of chose for you, And Rain says, exactly. And Pioneer says, that's what I meant earlier by complaining and crying and slobbering about racist mistreatment, as opposed to manning up and actually doing something about it. Okay, got you. And Cooper says, Donovan, are you aware of any special tax exemptions being offered by this current administration? It's almost time to do my taxes.
No, actually, the Biden administration has been pulling all kinds of exemptions, out of the tax code. Think about it. When Trump did it, that took a lot of the, things that people were, cutting and getting, exception to. Biden hasn't even put those back in. As a matter of fact, he's actually trying to pull more out of it so that people can't get exemptions and stuff like that. So I haven't heard of anything new out of the ordinary. But if I do, I will definitely put it up.
And Marty says, Africans that I see here in Detroit and other cities within Michigan in general, a lot of times is very scandalous and be trying to rip off people. That's not to say that all is like that. Okay, well, I hope not. Tonight, what's going on with you? Long time no see. And Arsenal says, well, I wholeheartedly agree to our great dynamic duo. I barely ever watch the news anymore. You have changed my life more than you will ever know. Now about Africans versus Americans, it's psychological brainwashing. White supremacy is worldwide and operates on many levels. In Haiti, we're told USA is a paradise. After traveling, we get global perspective and know better. Finally, they've carefully selected what they show you of Africans, lions and jungles, and that they show them of you. And it comment cut off with thugs, but absolutely. So we do have to be careful of the images that we do see in the media, especially about us. And Jewel, how you doing? He says, I used to live in Houston, almost moved to Humble. Yeah, Humble was just like...
But Humble's next to Spring. That's where I was at for 8 months.
It was hard times in Humble. I tell y'all that. For a whole lot of reasons. But it was like one of the, no shade to anybody who lives in Humble, it was one of the most uneventful places ever. It's like, I spent a lot of time in the library and at the local park. I even went for a free health exam once that was around the corner for something to do. It was like a health fair. And I was like, I'll go. It's something to do, right? And Jewel, you said, oh, so I read that. And the Pioneer says, and if I didn't already, hello, how you doing? He says, Pioneer says, I'm not sure if excess sugar and carbohydrates in and of themselves causes diabetes as much as it's the high fructose corn syrup they've been pumping in the food that's causing most of it. Yeah, it's a combination of both, but definitely high fructose corn syrup is not good for you. Trying to stay away from that. And Kubler says, Dimitri K, if you got video of you giving your city council the business, please post it. Well, that's more or less Donovan speed. I just go and I sit, but Donovan's up there and he's, you mother. I'm just playing. That's more Donovan's thing. I'm one of those people's like, let's just do boots on the ground type of stuff. Sitting there and hollering at the city council. Not that's how Donovan does. Donovan does way more than go and make his voice heard. I will say that I have seen and been with Donovan. And this is the other part that kind of pisses me off too. I've been with Donovan where he's, was campaigning, going out there knocking on doors when he was running, and he ran into some people who lived in a very dilapidated apartment situation. There was one lady, I kid you not, this gaping hole in her ceiling, and it just happened to be raining. And so as it would rain, my thing is crooked, as it would rain, the water would come in through the ceiling, and she had a bucket to catch it. And the landlord wasn't doing anything about it. So Donovan went down to City Hall and said, whoever's in charge of this district, you need to make sure, whoop, whoop, whoop. And they did. So as Donovan was running, there was also a debate candidate forum going on around the corner. I went with Donovan. We talked to the lady and stuff. Hey, come on down. Oh, yeah. We're going to be there in support of you. And I'm bringing everybody. The neighbors was coming.
Yeah, because one of their major thing was they can't make it to the debates because it's never near where they live.
So it's round the corner. So as Donovan and I were going to the debate, because Donovan's a candidate, I was his campaign manager, we saw the lady and another dude that lived there. They were walking from the liquor store that's literally next door to the center that it was. Roll down the window. Hey, you guys coming? Yeah, we're just going to go home real quick. We're going to come over. Do you know not one of them showed up? Not one showed up. And I'm like, my guy was there at your house and then went to City Hall ranting and raving to make sure they fixed your house, and you didn't even come and show up. But yet you've been trying to get the city council member to do something. You've probably not been voting or voting for the same old person. And yet Donovan gets the job done. He didn't win and he should have won because he would have made things happen. But yet you didn't even show up. I was like, you really cannot make this up. Honestly. So anyway, Thunder says, oh, family, I found out something interesting. Ready? Okay, here it goes. Did you know that Whole Foods accepts EBT? Wow. I'm in Whole Foods. Sometimes I don't go as much because I'm trying to conserve my money. And I don't have an EBT card, which is, food stamp card for lack of better words. But boy, if I did, I'd be in there giving the white folks the business. I want everything here and here. Swipe my EBT. Biden says, sis, you need to have your father on the show one day. I'd love to hear his stories about his early times in the Nation of Islam. You know what? One day I will. I will ask him. My dad he loves to teach and all of that. He might. My dad watches my show every day. He asked me last night, what did you talk about today? And I told him, he said, you coming on tomorrow? Yep, I'll be watching. So he might even be watching now. So hello, Daddy. I love you.
I will tell you this about, if you guys have Mr. Culture on the show, I want you to get your notes out. It's going to be a 2 to 4 hour seminar as this man is going to break it down.
Yes, indeed. Been in the Nation of Islam since he was 19 years old. Shoot, he knows what there is to know. Beverly, I love and appreciate you so much for the donation. Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, you guys, before we get out of here, we do have a Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. If you want to donate to the channel, do a super chat or become a member. We love all of it. Facts Not Feelings says, fun fact, did you know Soviet Union, Russia honored Patrice Lumumba by opening a university in his name? Yes, indeed. But that's the other thing they'll try to tell you in the media, that, Putin and Russia, they're all horrible people. But it's like, y'all should do your own research and come to that conclusion on your own, right?
And of course, the West looks at Patrice Lumumba as a communist. So there you go.
Yes, indeed. And Jeremy says, you're right, Demetra. Here in Huntsville, my wife and I were 2 of 5 Black people at our city council meeting helping to block a transient-style mini home park to be built directly next to our high school. Yeah, and it's like, it should have been more people there. I mean, I don't think you were protesting them helping homeless people, but it's like next to a high school, yeah, you might be opening up some things you don't want, right? They shouldn't be next to each other.
Right.
So.
Well, funny thing is we were at a city council meeting and one of Demetra's favorite citizens came up, Miss Jackson.
Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson was a riot, but you know what? At least she showed up and made her voice heard, right? And Jafia says, good evening, D, Don, and all, and welcome, welcome, welcome. And Jeremy says, it is important to catch those meetings, especially when they are held in the middle of the day while everyone is at work. Exactly.
But you can send an email, you could participate. Like I said, that now with technology, there's no excuse while you are not in the know. Even if they have a special meeting in the middle of the day, you send your email ahead of time and say, this is how I want you to vote, or this is how I feel about this subject. It goes into the record. And sometimes they use those replies as votes of what the people are saying.
Yes, indeed. So I'm gonna read the rest of these comments before we get out of here. Mona says, if it wasn't for going to give, if you wasn't going to give cash, it could be on this level. Give it so that you should be able to have towards rent $7 to $20,000 per month until the day you die. The opportunity to leave the country covered. Okay, so you talk about reparations. Got it. And Don, how you doing? Says no. Her confirmation is not going to impact the Black community whatsoever. You're absolutely right. And the Pioneer says it's almost time to do your taxes. Hell, it's April 10th. You only have a damn week left, and you say it's almost time. Well, yeah. Some people are like, maybe she's a business owner. She's trying to get everything together, and it's something. It could be scary to your business owner and all of that, and you don't want to pay. I mean, I just finished mine my nephew did about 2 weeks ago, and I almost bit my damn nails off, but it came out in my favor.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know this. Right here in my city, it was at the library. They have free tax preparation for veterans, moms and certain people of economic thing. It's right there free at the library. So if you don't want to pay or something like that, check your city library and check your city council, your city hall. They might have resources where they're doing it for free. So that's just something to put out there, because you got to get those taxes done, and it is what it is. But they have resources where they're doing it for free.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing called taxact.com. You can also do it for free on your own, and they'll walk you through it. If it's free, if it's simple. And tonight says, I'm good. I've been a little busy, but I still watch. All the best, everyone. Yes, indeed. Well, don't work too hard. And Don says, every Black they pick has a white spouse, which telling you whose side they're on. Good point. And I'm just going to go to some of these other comments for the sake of time. And the Pioneer says, damn, a free health exam just for something to do. Laugh out loud. You must have been really bored, sis. I bet that town was oppressively boring. It was. I was like, why did I come here again? Long story. One day I'll tell y'all about it. And Mona says, Donovan, how come you're not on your show more days? I would love to see you do some live. Can you tell me what days you'll be on doing a live so I can support you too?
Well, for me right now, I'm involved in litigation, so I'm kind of trying to limit what I do. And we have a local election that I'm kind of covering, so I'm kind of dealing with the local politics that I deal with in my community.
And tonight I will check the email, and thank you. And Jonelle says, damn shame. Jafia says, all supermarkets are mandated to accept EBT. You know, them people in Whole Foods is like, damn it. Gonna have everybody coming up in here. You should. Shoot, Whole Foods got some quality food. Like I say, I like to shop where they shop, because I know they ain't gonna be doing nothing crazy to their food, right? So sometimes I go over there. I don't live by one, but if I'm in the area, I'll drop in there and get a thing or two. But I'm going back vegan on my birthday, which is this Wednesday. So I'm going back for good, y'all. I took a year off and slacked off, but I'm going back to being a vegan. I mean, I was kind of plant-based, but now I'm going to go back completely to not eating meat at all. So pray for me. Let's see here. And Jonelle says, please have him on. I'm going to ask him if he wants to come on. I will definitely ask my father. His little bow tie on and everything. And yeah, I'll ask him. I'm sure he's at home like, yeah, I'll do it.
He's pulling out his books right now.
Yeah. And Thunder says, for some reason, I think your dad will be going off like Dick Gregory. Laugh out loud. And my dad, y'all think I'm passionate. That's where I get it from. My father, y'all know, especially Muslims who are from the old school. Yeah, they passionate about theirs. And Thunder says, oh, no, sorry, right there. And Marty says, so I sent you an email, Dimitri, just offline, just the last 2 parts of the video. Do you need me to resend them again? It's too bad for you. Couldn't show a glimpse of them. Most of them would give a better view. I tell you what, next Sunday, I will show the videos. The 2 videos that you sent me, I will show the people since they want to see what you have been enduring. So I hope that helps. Because for me to do it now, I have to cut them and load them up and I don't have time to do it. Rain says Ukraine-Russia propaganda is real. And Aroda, you say they need to dig out 400 trillion. That's what I'm talking about. And let's see here. Thunder says, and hurricane season is in 2 months. Stock up, family. Didn't we just come out of hurricane season? My God.
Yeah, hurricane season usually ends in November. But with that global warming, what's the difference?
I hate it all. And let's see here. And Kiana says, we can start off with with houses and land for reparations. Yep, I'll take one of those too. And Jafai says, I have done my own taxes since I was 18 years old. Yeah, see, that's old school because as Donovan said, we would go to the library. They would have the forms for you to do it. See, I don't know how old you are, Jafia, but, you know, I'm old enough to where we have to do our own taxes on paper. I have to do it on paper and mail it off, okay? Pioneer says, I was unemployment back in 2021, and I thought they would give us a tax exemption for 2021 like they did 2020, but they did not. Ended up owing the IRS this year. Yep, they did not make that exemption, which sucks. They should have done that for people who were getting unemployment. They should have allowed it like they did 2020, but Biden was like, nah, y'all got a break last time. You're not getting the break this time, but that would have really helped a lot of people, but that really sucks. And Rhoda says, we need Ro, okay? And Rain says, Trader Joe's is better than Whole Foods, especially the prices. Yes, the prices are much better. I will agree with you on that. Whole Foods has a little bit more selection, but Trader Joe's prices are better. And Moni says, Donovan in the Dominican Republic, what is it like to have you ever traveled to San Martinique, San Lucia, San Thomas, San Cora Islands? What is the financial living standard and the weather like?
They're all the same. They're all the same. Pretty much the same people, the same living style. I mean, they're tropical islands.
Absolutely. So anyway, that is our time. I will be back here with Walter on Wealth Wednesdays, where it is phenomenal. Walter is dropping the knowledge that you need to further yourself financially. He has the credentials. He's been in this game of finances for about 25 years plus. If there's anything, I won't say he knows everything, but he knows a lot, and he has helped change a lot of people's lives. And so he's going to be on here giving us advice, telling the stories, and just different things on how to progress. Because if we don't have the money, then all we are really doing is just talking. He's also going to help us learn how to save, and if you're interested in buying a house, a car, starting businesses. Like, he talks about all of that stuff. So I impress upon you to be here on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Time. I don't do a whole lot of talking. He does. He can talk for the both of us, and he is going to be taking your questions. And let's see here. I'm going to read the rest of these comments before we leave out of here. And Jafai says, I started doing my taxes because I excel in accounting while in high school. I am 10 years younger than you, D, not a baby. Oh, you're a baby. And Don says, no, Jim Crow Joe needs our tax dollars to give away to others. Exactly. Peace on to you, Brother Jonell. And the Pioneer says, thank you, King and Queen. Great show as usual. And thanks to y'all that it is a great show. And shalom on to you as well. Rain and Arson says to Black America, slow down on the complaints. Organize yourself and strategize. The blueprint is there. You spend way more money outside of your own communities than any other group. You say once you get the power, then you have leverage. Go after the system for your long overdue reparations. Money isn't a problem. They've got it. They need to feel compelled to give it. You better preach, brother. Our Canadian brother there. And Key 5, I hope I said that right. He says, good night, sister, stay black always, every day, all day. In fact, when the sun come out tomorrow, I'm going to lay out there to get another 10. And Jeremy says, hit that like button on your way out, please, and thank you. And Moni says, Donovan can give Demetra for her birthday. And remember, we get to celebrate through May. That's will be your birthday time, too. I love you guys both. Thank you for keeping it real always. And thank you. Love you for that. And Kiana says, I will be here. I appreciate you. Yep. Wednesday says, good night, brother. Stay black. Kubler says, Donovan and Dimitri, y'all random uploads on debates featuring just the two of you are amazing. I watched them all. Please keep them coming. Y'all want us to fight more often? We could do that. I'm just kidding, but we appreciate that.
Yeah, we're better when we're in studio together because it's more physical.
Yes, indeed. And Rhoda, you say Rothschilds owns us the money, period. Just remember the Jewish was plantation owners. Yes, indeed. So anyway, we are gone. Love and appreciate y'all. We will see y'all on Wednesday live. And then Donovan and I do our podcast on Tuesday and Saturday. So you guys stay tuned. Be blessed. Stay cool. Warm wherever you're at. Get some good to eat and relax. I know I'm going to. Peace. And thank you, Marcus.